A long time ago, when I was a child, I went to see a performance with my mother. I saw the stage. I saw the musicians. I saw the singer, and I heard her music. न जाने तव ज्ञानं विना न जाने. I saw someone play the cymbals. बजामि तव पदाम्बुजम् अहरहम् अहं न जाने तव ज्ञानं विना न जाने. And I saw the dancer. I saw her costume, her ornaments, and I felt the energy around her. न जाने तव ध्यानं विना न जाने तव ध्यानं विना न जाने. And I was mesmerized. I tried to imitate. And as she walked off the stage, I went up to her and asked her if she would teach me. And she said yes. And thus began my journey of learning. I learned many things. Instead of my normal walking, I learned how to walk in dance. I learned seemingly simple steps by watching my teacher. Taram, kutakate, kutakata, ringina, tom, say, ya, say, ya, say, ya, say, ya, say. And I watched, and I know I made a lot of mistakes, but I tried. Say, yeah, say, yeah, say, yeah, say, yeah, say. And I tried, yeah, say, and I tried, yeah, say, yeah, say, yeah, say. I learned more complex movement, much more complex. Talam, kutakate, kutakata, ringina, to, ta, shu, tanam, tati, taka, to, tanam, tati, taki, tatam, taki, tatam, yam, ta. And my old errors did creep up. Ta, su, janam, tati. But I learned. I learned many hand gestures, and I learned that I could use these hand gestures to tell a story. Tiruparam kundram vela tiru alavai parashivanoda daya kanne kunji muttadu bala. However, by watching, I learned that these gestures need to be combined with my face to tell a story. Tiruparam kundram vela tiru alavai parashivanoda daya kanne kunji muttadu Bala. And I learned and I learned. I learned how to practice. I learned how to sing. I learned how to notate my dance. And after many years, my teacher felt that I was ready to step on to the stage. On the day of the performance, I saw that many people had come to watch the show. I saw the musicians, and I heard the announcer who said, "Welcome. We are here today to think about learning and teaching through dance. Our performer, the first piece she will do today, is a short piece that actually describes Lord Kartikeya, who lives on the mountain. We will look at how Lord Kartikeya's father, Lord Shiva, and her mother, whose eyes are the shape of a fish, dearly love their child." And the announcer said that in the second piece, we'll see the performer tell the story of a child learning how to walk. We'll see the child stumble. We'll also look at the caregiver and the reaction of the caregiver as she sees her child stumble. We'll see that the child sees a little puppy, goes out to reach the puppy, and walks for the first time. We will also see the child is a little bit, has grown a little bit, comes after a day of playing around, and we'll see this little interaction between the mother and the child as she's giving him a bath. The piece talks about the anklets, or the really melodious anklets that the child is wearing, and how the entire audience can listen to the sound as the child is learning how to walk. walked off stage, a little girl came to me and asked me if I would teach her. And the journey continues. न जाने तव ज्ञानं विना न जाने भजामि तव पदाम्बुजम् अहरहम् अहं भजामि तव पदाम्बुजम् अहरहम् अहं न जाने तव ज्ञानं विना. Without your thought, I am nothing. भजामि तव पदाम्बुजम् अहरहम् अहम्. As I dance to your lotus-like feet, my ego disappears. And the journey continues. It's an immense privilege to be a part of the dance world and the neuroscience world. And it's an immense privilege to just be here, hopefully bringing these two worlds together. There are many, many reasons why we should engage in the arts. Of course, for dance, there is fitness, which is of course true. For the arts in general, there is entertainment. It is, of course, something that can be used for entertainment in our lives. However, I hope we can go away with a little bit of this feeling that the arts can really help us understand who we are. It can help us understand our perception of reality. It can help us even form hypotheses. So what does this look like of bringing the arts into our science world and thinking about the arts as an equal partner to the scientific journey? In direct relation to what Vikram just talked about, I wonder if there are any ways to use the arts to look at how the increase in dopaminergic firing that he talked about can actually be related to reinforcement. And if this reinforcement can be associated with habitual learning. But there's so many big picture questions, many, many, many questions that arts can help us address. We looked at error detection. We looked at this process of reflection, at least as a practitioner of dance. I know it happens in real time every time I practice and every time I perform. So what does the self-reflection look like for non-motor tasks? As a practitioner of a dance form that is deeply spiritual, I wonder how this self-reflection works out in practice, in performance, but perhaps also in a non-dance world, in the world outside dance. There's also the question of how exactly the arts change our brain. What does engagement, training in the arts, what does that do to our brains? And what happens to our brains as spectators, as somebody that is immersed in the dance form? How do we ascribe meaning to movement? You saw me do a lot of hand gestures today. This was one. And how do our brains tell us that there is a difference between this and this? What is it that is happening in our brains? And speaking of motor tasks, how does our brain make sense of our facial gestures when we are feeling or emoting a certain thing? Why do we feel emotions? How do we detect emotions in others? And how do we react? How do we know how to react to those emotions? And speaking of knowing, how do we know what we know? And can the arts help us understand this process of knowing what it is that we know and how actually we go about knowing those things? And of course, there's a big question of aesthetics and beauty. I wonder if the arts can help us understand why do we seek beauty in the world around us, and how do we detect beauty when we do find beauty? All these big questions, I think, it's an amazing and interesting time to be part of this convergence of arts and the sciences, and I really invite all of you to become part of this journey in whatever way you feel feasible. And there's many ways to make it happen. I think one, as our organizers have shown us, is to really have artists in scientific venues and scientists in venues where there are art. But as we know, it takes a lot more than an invitation. It takes, as we're all here, this mindset that actually thinks of the arts as more than entertainment, more than even healing, but as perhaps a way of discovery and scientific inquiry. This convergence could also take the form of learning or engaging in an artistic practice. And in ending, I would just like us to think about how can the arts be a part of your scientific and perhaps even non-scientific journeys.